Well, hello, everyone. I'm honored and excited to be here talking with Mike Robinson. He's the Executive Director, CEO of Business Ethics Alliance. Mike, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Andy.
I know you stepped into this role. How long has it been?
Going on 2 years,
Go ahead.
November of 2020 when I came in.
Okay. Yeah, you stepped in right in the middle of a whole bunch of craziness with the pandemic and whatnot. So we're going to talk a little bit about that professional journey, but let's just talk about Business Ethics Alliance. I know many people know what it is, but just in a nutshell, give us an overview.
Well, the Business Ethics Alliance is the only city-level ethics initiative in the nation that was actually formed by our founding partners, Creighton University, the Better Business Bureau, and Hunter College of Business. I'm sorry, Creighton University, Better Business Bureau, and Greater Omaha Chamber, as well as our founding founder, Dr. Beverly Crocker, who, with her vision and foresight, is actually one of the main reasons why we're here today.
Yeah, and I mean, I've interviewed Bev many times, and what she has done just in creating the Business Ethics Alliance and everything that your organization does, and it's so important to our community. But the organization has evolved over time, because when was it founded? I mean, what year did it start?
Well, meetings started back in 2005, and as you're aware, the Alliance was actually formed in a spinoff from the Enron scandal. And so with the Enron scandal, Dr. Crocker had the foresight to establish more an ethics-based organization, but we actually were formed as a 501c3 in 2008.
Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up, Ethics Space, coming up in October. But first, let's just talk about your professional journey. I mean, what made this a right fit for you?
Great question, and Andy, it's primarily lived experiences. Personally, and I shared with many individuals that I would not get involved in the organization if I didn't couldn't live out the mission, and so a lot of the business I've had, time to housing, leadership development, a youth engagement has been primarily near dear to my heart. And ethics, obviously, living with integrity and not only doing what's right, but also practicing what you preach has been always, front of mind. You have a mother that was in law enforcement and a wife that I view as Mother Teresa. I keep that, front of mind every day. So it challenges me to be a better individual. But in particular with the Alliance, it was very unique. And I'll say with this transition, because granted, you want to pretty much every day walk that path and to encourage your team, but also your partners in not only doing the right thing, but also helping evolve cultures. And that's something that really interested me in the Alliance. Granted, with our robust history from corporate involvement to work with nonprofits and small businesses, but it's like there's more that we can be as an organization. And granted, we've had a great start, a great run, and my job is actually taking that baton and improving some of those processes. But as I mentioned, like these connections that we currently have with our community partners that keep ethics front of mind, and not just by saying it, but living out their values, has been truly beneficial for the Alliance to see that in fruition.
So, I mean, again, I knew you, before you joined a couple of years ago, joined the organization, but there is such the vision that Bev created and the organization. I mean, there's so much more, my understanding in our conversations, kind of more expansion and just taking things to the next level, which needs to happen in all organizations. But talking about yours, there's so many ways for the community to get involved with what you do. And let's talk a little bit just about the events you have. I mean, you have monthly events.
Correct. And I know it's one thing, it's been, front of mind with a lot of individuals as far as the Alliance events. And, but the thing is, we're beyond that also. And
yes.
Pertaining to, like our consulting, workshops, we've explored, areas where currently we're doing executive ethics exchanges to where they're just CEO centered, and you're having those conversations amongst your peers We've also, kicked off the first of its kind nonprofit ethics exchange, which was a partnership with the Whites Family Foundation. And that was for nonprofit leaders, from not only just CEOs, but also they're connecting with HR members, the finance staff. So pretty much getting deeper into organizations to spread, as far as ethics education. So the perception or that the Alliance was event-based, yes, that's more of a taste of more of that 101 approach to provide more
Absolutely.
diverse perspective and diversity of thought in those rooms. And granted, the networking has been very beneficial to share ideas. But granted, with like any organization, you have to grow and grow gradually. But also, as we call ourselves the Business Ethics Alliance, it's going to take that alliance to make this work. We've been very blessed to have partners that we do in this community.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm actually looking at your website too, which you recently launched a new website, and lots of great resources there as well. But let's talk a little bit about, I do want to talk about Ethics Space, the event that's coming up in October. And we're going to be doing something so much more in Midland's Business Journal on that as we get closer to the event. But it's an exciting time. You have a great speaker. Let's talk about the speaker for a minute.
Well, very excited about, this Ethics Space. It's actually our, I guess, second run at this.
Yeah.
We had Kenyon Salo, who was pretty much more of a focus to transition from the pandemic and have a different, outlook on ethics. So now we're going, back to our basics and the foundation of how we were formed as an organization. As I referenced earlier, the Alliance was, formed from the spinoff of the Enron scandal. And lo and behold, Sharon Watkins was the whistleblower. So that's, she went over as our keynote speaker, which we're highly looking forward to on October 13th, and actually taking it back to home and to our roots as an organization. And granted, the Omaha community. It's we've been blessed to serve this community, but also it's a thing that we can actually give back in a way, and also open eyes, insights of individuals that are on that borderline or cusp of whistleblower situations that they can empathize or connect with, from her story.
Yeah. And so the event, and again, last year was it 100% virtual last year?
It was hybrid.
Okay, so you had a little bit of both. The year before,
prior 2020 was virtual, completely virtual.
Okay. Yeah,
in person.
Yeah. So how can people? Because this is not. I mean, it's not just a luncheon. This is an event that you spend, and there's so many different things going on throughout the day with the keynote, but then other kind of sessions. Can you talk a little bit about just kind of as a whole?
So what we're doing this year, we actually have our keynote, which Sharon Watkins, but also we're having 2 breakout focuses, and getting those obviously finally secured. One of those in particular is Dr. Aaron Bass from University of Nebraska Omaha, who will be presenting, but all within that realm as far as that psychological safety piece and having that that piece to where your voice is heard within the organization. So it's a complete tie-in to the conference. And one of the other areas that we did from other conferences is actually the dialogue. We're going to have a 30-minute session after Sharon's speech, that she pretty much more of a question and Q&A session with the audience. And we'll be a little past events, but it's another way to connect on that level. And actually, so I encourage those who are attending, and I hope you're listening, will take us up on an offer to support the Alliance in that aspect. But come and get your questions prepared in advance, because it definitely is going to be a dynamic setting.
Yeah. So let's talk. So we've got the event coming up, and is it October? It's October
13th at the HI Center.
Okay, that's great. And I know tickets are on sale now. And also, are you sponsorships are also you're looking for business corporate sponsors as well? I know we'll have another conversation about this event, which again, encourage everybody. I mean, this to me is just like, you don't want to miss this event at all. But going back just to the organization itself, kind of what is next? I mean, what are you looking at? Where do you see it going?
Well, great. The thing is, like, when we talk about the transition and change, it's like my approach was not coming into Alliance like a bull in a china shop and making it my brand. As I referenced earlier, it's going to take all of us, with this
Yep.
movement, so to speak. And one of the is actually I had taken a step back to see, the program that was provided, to our community. And granted, we all are coming out of, pandemic, and that pretty much changed our structure of programming. So we had to be, very nimble in our efforts as far as, providing, quality programs to the community, and pretty much lending that ear to understand their needs. So some of the areas that we've been focusing on primarily have been around the, culture,
Mhm.
that capacity, I guess, in that storytelling approach to where you can connect with individuals on their level, whether, CEO, middle management team members. So more of a, that back to that diversity of thought. But when you look at as far as our programming overall, a lot of that focus, some of it has been primarily on the retention, engagement.
Mhm.
I had a discussion with, individual earlier, and I referenced the fact, and I'll ask you this, Andy, is that when you're, as the time when you apply for a position, has there been any ethics related questions during that interview process? And it's
Mhm.
another factor as far as how are we vetting, individuals that are, coming to organizations and seeing if the values align with the organization,
Yeah.
opposed to the position. Because I think you look at the end game with, our employees now, and making it more of a place of, rather than employment, but a place of home, that feeling, because you're with your, team members for mostly 8 hours a day, probably even more. But how connected are you? I mean, how engaged are you? That's been some of the focuses. Other areas, with the Alliance beyond the, like the workshops, as I, referenced earlier, the executive ethics changes, and we've connected more using technology, and that's been some of our focuses moving into 2023 is, web-based programming
Yeah.
that ethics, 24/7, because ethics is nonstop. You don't take a break from it, and it's an area to
Right.
where we have to keep that front of mind. And as an ethics-based organization, it's our, duty to, and definitely enjoy it, to provide those, practical tips and tools to the community and community leaders.
Well, last question for you. Until our next interview, which we'll be having one probably in a couple months or less. But how can people get involved? I mean, there's different levels of involvement, but how can a business or individual get more involved with what you do?
Well, first I'll start with our, our signature events. And one of the directions we have taken this year is offering those, free of charge. Our next event actually we kick off is August 25th, and that's ethics and data collection. We have Mike McMeekin from Engineering Lab, and then Hobson Powell from LinkedIn, which we're very, excited about that conversation. But that's one area, and as far as, educate yourself. But the other is actually looking through ambassadorship. It's spreading the word, inviting your peers, and also becoming a prospective trustee partner. Currently, we have over 339 trustee partners in the community, and these are the organizations that are technically our trustee partners, but those reps are the CEOs, and from different scales. So our trustees are ambassadors, supporters, and advisors of the Alliance. So it goes beyond that financial support. It's the knowledge, it's the, their experience that they're bringing to the table, in those stories that shares amongst, peers, like-minded individuals. That's
Yeah.
very.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much. First of all, again, thank you for what you and this organization does for the community. I don't think I can say how important it is. And if, like you said, 24/7, ethics is 24/7. And it's important conversations that, honestly, there was a time when we weren't even having these conversations. So looking forward to, again, ethics space. You've got a lot of events coming up. Midlands Business Journal, excited to be more involved with the organization, and encourage everyone to check out the website and look how you can get involved. So I look forward to talking to you again real soon. And any last brief words before I let you go?
Well, one thing I guess I'll leave you with and leave the audience with is that ethics doesn't cost a thing, but it can cost you everything.
Wow, that's good. That's a good one. So, all right, Mike, thanks so much. Good to see you. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you, Andy.
And folks, we'll be right back.